All right, today's video, Idaho, the good, the bad, and the unexpected. Let's go. Hey guys, if this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button, tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our real estate team gets calls, texts, and emails every single day, literally every single day, from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So don't think it's weird. Shoot us a call, text, or email if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now. It doesn't matter. Let's get that conversation started now because lots of things need to fall into place to make that a beautiful, smooth move for you. All right, on to the video. Okay, here's the deal. Today's video, I wanted to break down some of the good, some of the bad, and some unexpected items about Idaho, probably more specific to North Idaho, to be honest, but it is the best Idaho after all, to be honest, again. So that's my goal. We're gonna hit some of these topics. You know, if you follow our channel, you may have heard some of this before, but that's okay. Maybe you'll pick up another gem from today, and maybe some of the unexpected items that will kind of shock you. We'll see. Okay, let's start with the good. I like to start with the good. There's a lot of good here in North Idaho. So, number one thing that comes up, stunning natural beauty, outdoor recreation. You hear this a lot from me. This place is an outdoor lover's paradise. Lots of folks end up here. Those that grew up here really appreciate the outdoors, right? They're not the type to go out and throw a bunch of trash out in the woods. Not that type of people. So you guys, I mean, I can't even start to go. I don't even know. There's so much, right? You got, let's go, summertime. You've got all of the lakes up here. There's so many lakes in North Idaho, some monster lakes too. Ponderay, Coeur, Alene, Hayden, Fernand Lake. If you go way up north, you've got Priest Lake up there, which is probably one of the more beautiful places I've ever been in my life. So all that here, many smaller lakes, some alpine lakes. So all of the lake activities are in abundance out here. If you go out in Coeur Alene in the summertime, it is just packed with people having a good time, except for the paddle boarders. They're over there struggling, but you know, let's be real. But power boats, you know, water skiing, jet skiing, wake surfing, wakeboarding, all that stuff is out here in abundance. Tons of marinas, and boat launches. So if you have a boat, it's great thing to do up here is get out on the boat. Also, summertime, you got tons of hiking. You can go hit those alpine lakes. You can get out in the woods, do some fly fishing up in the Coeur d'Alene River. So much to do. Mountain biking, of course, is huge. The ski resorts out here do mountain biking as well in the summertime. So they'll throw your bike on the lift, take you up to the top, and hopefully don't break your neck on the way down because that just looks freaking crazy to me. But good times can be had by all here in the summer. All right, hunting season is a big one here. As we get into fall, you will sense a shift in the population as the males, mostly males, tons of women out here hunt too, though I shouldn't just say males. They start getting ready for hunting season. Camouflage in abundance, and everybody's getting the rifles sighted in over at Fernand Gun Club and getting ready for elk season, deer season, moose, all the big stuff out here, and it's a big deal. So if you're a hunter, know that if you're a resident out here, you can get your tags real cheap, much cheaper than if you're out of state coming here. So it's good when you don't get anything. You won't feel as bad because you didn't blow as much money and your wife won't get mad at you. After hunting season comes the dark times. Wintertime out here is still awesome amounts of recreation. So those ski resorts that I previously mentioned, you can actually ski in the wintertime instead of mountain bike. So tons of that. Schweitzer's amazing up in Sandpoint. We've got Silver Mountain over in Kellogg, and then Lookout Mountain right on the border of Montana. And then you can head over to Mount Spokane if you want to brave the Washington side and go hit up that mountain as well. So tons of things to do in the winter. Also, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, ice skating. You can head up on the old snowmobile and head up into the mountains, which is super popular as well. So, you know, any time of year, you're going to find something to do outside here. I had someone ask me recently, like, what if I'm not outdoorsy? Is that going to be a problem? Like, you know, you can find other things to do as well, but in reality, this place is just geared for outdoor activity. So, and public safety announcement. If you are one of those people out there enjoying the outdoors, like I said earlier, please don't trash it. Take care of it. It's an incredible resource that we have here in North Idaho, and we want to keep it that way. All right, I'm still on the good. So, small town charm and sense of community. There are so many amazing businesses that are started locally, lots by former first responders or current first responders and veterans, which is cool. That's near and dear to our heart. So we just love to see these people succeed. And these ties everybody you meet's tied to some other business here in town, and it's just amazing. So huge local support, tons of churches out here, lots of activity groups. You've got homeschool groups. There's just so many things that bring people together, and it's so important. I think that's what's missing in a lot of the country is just people getting together and knowing their neighbors, supporting each other, supporting each other's businesses, spending that money locally so that, we can all raise our families in this amazing place. All right, next up, low crime rates. Probably hear me talk about this a lot too. The crime up here, it's not non-existent. Of course, that's never a reality. It's here, but it's pretty darn minor, especially if you're coming from one of the big blue states. You'll be amazed, right? I never recommend doing this, but you can generally leave your car door and your house door unlocked and nothing bad's gonna happen. Once again, you should lock them. But if you accidentally forget sometimes, it's not gonna be a big deal. More than likely, nothing's gonna happen. So that's the kind of place it is. The police departments up here and the sheriff's departments are fantastic. They are deeply supported by the communities. We love them and they do a darn good job. And they are still allowed to enforce the law here, which sounds crazy because we see a lot of other states where they're not allowed to do that anymore. So imagine that, right? You've got cops that can enforce the law and you've got low crime. It's almost like there's a correlation there. It's shocking. Maybe some of these other states will figure it out at some point and unleash their LEOs to do their job and watch the crime rates go down. The way we handle that up here is, hey, give us a call if you're curious about that house. We've got connections in all the local police departments and sheriff's departments up here, and we'll just ask somebody like, hey, is that a good street? You got any problems on that street? And the men and women in blue will give us an answer, and there we go. You get it straight from the source, and that's just the best way to do it, in my opinion. But overall, crime is much lower than the national average up here. Okay, next up on the good, lower cost of living. There are some caveats to this. Some things are not cheaper. But in general, a lot of things are. You're looking at like car registration, homeowners insurance, taxes, property tax, sales tax, all that stuff in general is cheaper. Homes, depending on where you're coming from, may or may not be cheaper. It's not super cheap to live up here or to buy property up here. That's the reality of it. Activities, food, things like that, I would say are on par with most other states as well. So you're gonna save some money in some areas and sometimes some big chunks of money, but you're gonna be on par with a lot of other things as well. So I would say overall cost of living is lower than most of these other states. So we'll count that as a good for now. Hopefully that doesn't change with all the population moving up here. But for now, it is, so you can take some solace in that. All right, next up, clean environment, fresh air. The air up here smells like freedom. Whatever that smells like, you can smell it up here. It's very apparent. And it is just a visually beautiful place. Obviously there are little pockets. You'll see some nasty hoarder house here and there that exists everywhere. But for the most part, it's pretty darn clean up here. The woods are generally pretty clean. Unfortunately, Tubbs Hill in the summertime can get trashed a little bit by out-of-towners coming here and putting trash on the beaches. But good thing is the locals clean it up and take care of our own that way. But if you head out of the woods and you're out in the deep woods, it's gonna be really clean. The air quality is really good most of the year. We'll have a few weeks a year in the summertime, towards the end of the summer, fire season. We do get some smoke blowing in from usually California, Washington, sometimes up north, and it comes down. So that does happen. Generally, I think this year it was 2 weeks maybe. And then it was gone. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's jump into some bad stuff. Limited job market and economic diversity. So if you watched our podcasts, you will see there are a lot of amazing businesses up here. There's some budding tech industry. There's a lot going on here for such a small area, but it is a little bit limited. So the job market can be tough. Our bigger drivers for the economy up here are like the hospitality industry, logging, the mills, things like that. So, and the wages are not on par with most other states. Unfortunately, hopefully they catch up. I know in the first responder world, the cops here get paid less than they should, although it's coming up. We'll see. Hopefully in the next few years, we can get them on par so we're not losing people to other departments in other states, because that's a big deal. We want to keep them here. But some of that limited job market, I mean, it's apparent. A lot of people are fortunate and they moved here and they have a remote job. So they're collecting wages from say California and they're paid California wages, but they can live here. Good for them. That's a great way to do it if you can do it. But obviously it doesn't work for everybody. So just know that if you are coming here, that can be a big downside. Some people do work over in the Washington side since Spokane is so close. More jobs to be had over there. The pay is generally better. But once again, you have to go to Washington for that. Bummer. All right, next up on the no list, harsh winters and extreme weather. So you've heard me talk about this before, but the wintertime up here can be a bit of a drag. Even if you're the outdoorsy type and you love to go snowboarding or skiing, whatever. We are so far north that our shortest day of the year is only 8 hours long. That's daylight, 8 hours of daylight. On the flip side, summertime, our longest day of the year is about 16 hours of daylight, which is crazy. So that wintertime, let's say you get through the holidays, everybody's all happy and fat. Then you hit after the holidays, you're gonna hit January, February, March. Those are probably our roughest months. So the weather can be extreme. We can get really cold temperatures. We can get a lot of ice. It varies so much. It's hard to pinpoint up here. You might have one day where it's 50 degrees and then the next day it's 0 degrees and icy. That happens occasionally, those weird March months, March-ish. So just something to consider. That is definitely a negative for a lot of people. You got to find ways to work with it, find ways to get sunlight when you can, maybe go on vacation during that time. That'd be a good time to do it. Get yourself some light therapy device at home so you don't get depressed in the wintertime. There are ways to cope with it, but that is definitely a factor for a lot of people. All right, healthcare, accessibility. It's not that bad. Let me start there. But if you end up in one of these rural areas, it can be a bit of a drive to get to a hospital. There are ambulances that service those areas, of course, but they have to make that drive as well. So, just bank on spending some time out there and being able to take care of yourself. I think the phrase goes, no one is coming to save you. You need to save yourself. So be ready for that, especially if you live in a rural area. Know some basic medical stuff because you may be on your own for a bit out there before help shows up. Just something to keep in mind. And if you're looking for super specialized healthcare, I'd say it's getting better in the Coeur d'Alene area, but if you're outside of the Coeur d'Alene area, it's going to be tough to find. If you really need something super duper special, you could head over to Spokane, about 35 miles from Coeur d'Alene. But if you're up north of Sandpoint, that's going to be a bit of a hike for you. So just keep that in mind. We do have Life Flight here, so that is available, weather permitting, of course. So if you are super rural and you end up with some major injury, you could potentially get life flighted. That's a plus. But like I said, the weather up here sucks a lot, so it could be a tough one for you. Keep that in mind. Most doctors, dentists, all that stuff exists here for sure. But I'm just talking specialized things. And if you're in a very rural area, access to healthcare is going to be some time to get there. All right, next up, the rising cost of living. I know I talked about in the good, it is lower cost of living, but I also mentioned it's coming up. Hopefully it stays where it is. We'll see. I just saw price of eggs has gotten ridiculous. Flip side of that, North Idaho, most people own chickens, so you don't have to worry about that, right? My girls lay me those beautiful little eggs every day, and we feed our family with it. It's amazing. So the cost of living is going up. Housing market obviously has gone up quite a bit in the last 5 years. It's gone up everywhere in the country as well, so it's not necessarily just North Idaho, but I would say we were a bit of a bubble for a while, and that's because lots of people want to move here because it's awesome. So we're going to deal with that. Lots of people still want to move here because it's awesome. So that buying pressure is going to exist. So if you're on the fence and you're waiting for the housing crash, I don't know. I wouldn't wait. You might find yourself in a situation, especially with our newly elected president, that things don't get that bad and the housing market keeps going up. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe everything will come crashing down. And if it does, I'd still rather live in North Idaho than anywhere else. So that is just something to consider, cost of food, everything's going up. We don't have the minimum wage laws like I think it was California just did. That is going to drive a lot of small business out of business in those states. So bad idea. We don't have that here, but people need to pay wages that are comparable to other areas so they can actually hire. So I know, like I saw a sign at McDonald's, I think they're paying like 16, 17 bucks an hour right now. I don't even think the deputies in some of the counties out here make that much money, unfortunately. So something to consider, but those housing or the cost of living is definitely creeping upwards here. Hopefully, some of the things still stay low, like property taxes, stuff like that. But we shall see. All right, next bad. Public transportation is pretty limited up here. If you come from a place where you're used to it, or ride your bike long distance to work or things like that, it becomes a little more challenging up here. We do have some public safety, but it's not everywhere and it's not awesome. Biking is great in the summer. Sure, tons of bike trails. You can get all over town. Wintertime, different story. That would suck. So keep that in mind. If that's your main source of transportation, it could be challenging certain times of the year. There's always a way. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it might be tough. And catching buses, things like that. Little more tricky up here. Not as consistent of schedules, not as frequent. So that's something to consider. We have Uber, Lyft, all that stuff. They're here. Honestly, I haven't used them here, so I don't know how in abundance they are, but it is here. It's possible. Other than that, yeah. So if you're banking on it, might not be the best. All right, let's talk about the unexpected. These are some things you might not realize about North Idaho and Idaho. And maybe you don't care. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go. Growing arts and culture scene. Not a bad thing. I think sometimes people associate that with like the liberal mindset, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you've heard cowboy poetry, then you know what I'm talking about. I think it's a good thing, depending on how it's done. I don't want to see any drag shows, that's for sure, but I know there may have been one, but it got a big backlash from the community. So anyway, I don't want to go into that. But overall, I think it's a cool thing. You've got some music, lots of art. There's some amazing artwork being done up here. You ever heard of Jeff Weir? He lives up here. He does, I can't remember his Instagram, but Google his name, Jeff. He does beautiful oil paintings. I was lucky enough to score one before he was famous. Now they're spendy. He's also doing bronze sculptures too. So he's not the only one. There's lots of people up here doing that kind of stuff, making beautiful art. And I think it's fun to check out. You've got Art on the Green in the summertime, which is downtown Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho College. Awesome stuff there. So you can go walk around, check out all the local artists or sort of local artists and see what they're putting out there. Good stuff. So that's kind of cool. That stuff is growing a little bit. Like I said, never a bad thing to have some culture in your life. Maybe this is not unexpected. I don't know. Wildlife encounters, natural hazards. Do you expect that if you're moving to North Idaho? Let me know in the comments, because I don't know. I kind of expected it, but some people don't, I guess. Wildlife here is living in very close proximity to the people of North Idaho. I see elk pretty regularly during my drive to work, in my yard sometimes. We've seen moose in my yard and on my drive to work. So they are here. We've had moose come into town, like midtown, and just kind of, cruising down the sidewalk. Don't go try to pet a moose, people. They are the gangsters of the woods up here. They will mess you up, especially if they have a calf. So they look cute. Well, they kind of look weird, to be honest, but maybe they're cute. But anyway, stay clear of them. I respect them more than any other wild animal up here. But we've got bears, occasionally grizzly bears, pretty rare, but they do exist here. And wolves, believe it or not. There's like 2,200 wolves in the state of Idaho. Quite a few. You can hunt them as well. They're ginormous, by the way, like bigger than you would imagine. So I wouldn't want to tangle with a pack of them out in the woods by myself, that's for sure. Let's see, what other animals? I guess those are the big scary ones that can kill you. Obviously, we have mountain lions too. There's another one that can kill you. And bobcats and coyotes and all the stuff. So they're here and they are all around. Like I said, you will see a moose in downtown Coeur d'Alene at some point. And so if they're downtown, you can bet if you live a few minutes outside of downtown, you're going to bump into them. They're going to come in your yard. They're going to trample your plants and eat all your stuff. And you just take it. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Okay, here's another unexpected development, especially if you don't know a lot about the area. There is a ton of development going on. And it is January 7th, the day I'm recording this, 2025. Weird. You will see a high-rise. Well, I'm going to call it a high-rise, and someone's going to give me shit about it. It's going to be a 16-story. That's a high-rise to me, okay? New condo going in downtown right next to the resort. There's a big old crane up there. It's kind of cool. They got all lit up at night. But a lot of people don't like that. I believe there will be a pedestrian bridge across Sherman Avenue. That will change things dramatically downtown. So all of that going vertical, it won't be the last. When things run out of space, they start going up. With that, I talked about this recently on a podcast, Mark Kuda, local guy. You can get pissed off about it, but there's no point. There's literally nothing you can do about it. So find the positives in it, right? There's going to be a cool rooftop bar on that new building. That's cool. New steakhouse coming into town. That's good because Wolf Lodge burned down and that was really sad. So find the positive things, maybe some new restaurants, maybe more revenue for the local small businesses downtown. That's always a plus. And that's the best we can do is find the light in the situation. But back to my topic. So that was changing dynamics in towns, and it's happening in other towns here too. Post Falls, there's a ton of development going on the down near the river off of Spokane Street, south of 90. Lots of new buildings going in there. They're going vertical there too. It looks like it will be cool. You've got some great restaurants. You can walk around, do your thing. I mean, that's enjoyable, right? So once again, there's nothing you can do about it unless you want to go join city council, but most people don't want to put the effort in, so they just complain. So you might as well find the positives, embrace it, roll with it. If you hate it, I guess you can move farther north. That's that. I should also touch on, the development in housing as well, right? Since I do sell houses, the whole prairie, lots of that development's going to go up that way, north Post Falls, Rathdrum, in that area. There's a bunch of new housing developments that have already been approved. The good and bad to it, right? Growth, more people can live here that want to move here. I guess that's good. Hopefully it will keep housing prices from becoming astronomical again. They do a pretty good job of including a lot of green space, parks, schools, all that stuff in there. So it's not like full on cookie cutter. I know it pisses a lot of people off that have lived here their whole lives. I get it. But once again, just nothing you can do about it. Don't complain unless you're willing to actually do something about it. So that is coming. That urban sprawl, it's surprising to some people how much is going on, especially if they haven't seen this place in a while. Just something to be aware of. Okay, here's another one. Unexpected. The entrepreneurial spirit, that word is so hard for me, and small business growth in this area is unbelievable. And maybe it's not unexpected. If you watch our podcasts tend to have a lot of business owners on there and just generally cool people in the area. There are some unbelievable businesses, some that I'm just tapping into up here that started in North Idaho and are booming and, becoming worldwide recognized brands. I think that's amazing. So that's here. I mentioned the tech industry. If you pop into the Den, which is where Coeur d'Alene Coffee is downtown Coeur d'Alene, there's a lot of co-working there. There are like some crazy tech businesses in that building downstairs that you would not expect, making big money and making big moves in the business world. So it's here. If you want to tap into that community, go hang around down there and find a nerdy looking dude in a nice shirt and glasses and start talking to him and see what happens, because that opportunity is here, which is pretty unexpected. I did not expect that when I moved here. I honestly kind of thought it was a little podunk town, which I like, and it's proven itself to be quite different. So pretty cool. All right. I think I hit on all the main points of the good, the bad, and the unexpected. Always give it to you guys straight. You make the decision. Obviously, I think this place is wonderful because I choose to raise my family here. I love this community like nothing else. I love the people here. Maybe it's the right spot for you. Maybe not. Maybe you watch these videos and you're like, nah, that place sucks. Well, that's okay. You can choose to live wherever you want to live in this beautiful country. That's another reason we love it. So if you do like it here and you do want to make the move, our real estate team would love to assist you in that. If you're cool. If you're not cool and you're a jerk, don't call us. But, obviously we all come from a public safety and veteran background, so we are honored to serve that community, but we serve the entire community as well. So please give us a call, text, or email if you're thinking about making the move or you have additional questions. It's okay to reach out. And, if you're in town for a visit, we'd love to grab coffee with you. I am taller, by the way, than I look in these videos. I just met a gentleman today. Corey, what's up, buddy? And he was like, man, you look a lot taller. I thought you were short. I've heard that before too. No, I'm 6'1", and I'm about 215 pounds. Just for the record, I want to put it out there. There you go. So if we meet up and you're looking for the short guy, that would be Dave or Eric, not me. Anyway, love to help you make that move. Give us a call, text, or email. Thank you again. Catch you on the next video.